Okay. Yeah, sometimes I'm almost sorry that I cannot give you more. First I gotta get some water. Right, sometimes I wish I could make these recordings more fancy and spend more time recording, but there's just so much other stuff I need to be doing also. So if I would only be doing YouTube, but I also do podcasts and I also write books, and so sometimes you just have to do certain things and just get them out of the way. Woo way! There's already oil in there because I used it. Put my potatoes in and then oil, and then the potatoes went into the oven. Yeah, I didn't show you that, which means you probably then have to do it yourself. So I need more food now. I just came from the park and I just ate a whole packet of chips. This is really intense labor, this emotional work. And so I just have to see, right, where things are gonna get me in the future. So I'm gonna work on this. I already had this for some time in the fridge. Just have to make sure it doesn't go bad. I'm gonna turn half of this actually into a lettuce, like into some kind of like salad. Just finely chop it. And the other half is gonna go into the soup. So first I want to prepare because if you make a soup, you probably want to make it in a way that it also has a bit of taste. So I'm gonna make this a bit spicy. So I'm gonna pick turmeric. You know, what spices you pick, that's entirely up to you. I'm gonna pick turmeric, which is also nice for golden milk. I'm gonna pick bay leaves. I'm gonna pick ginger, onions, and 2 chilies before they go bad. Good choice, right? So I'm gonna start bringing up the heat of this pot. And I'm just gonna keep this here. Yeah, I cleaned my entire apartment today. That was a really, really good choice. It also was way less dramatic than last time. Okay, now just focus on the cooking. I'm gonna say things if I feel like it. Those were 3 bay leaves, 2 chilies now. I'm not too big a fan for naming exact ingredients, because you gotta work with what you have, okay? So I see fat also as energy. So, cooking is meditation. If I talk, I break the meditation for a reason. So normally I cook and I'm quiet. You put in the oil, you put in certain spices, certain ingredients, and they all blend together in the oil. That's the idea. So the oil becomes a carrier of information. So everything you put in there, you put it in there for healing. And because you're working with yourself and with the people that are going to eat it. So it's a way of energy work. This is what my spirit needs now. This is what my body needs to cleanse. Because I have been smoking, right? I have been the disobedient child, and now I want to make amends. Because it annoyed me to be disobedient. And somebody tells you don't smoke, and you go and you smoke. I still long for smoking, because in a way it's also food, but I feel so much better now, so why go back? So in the end I long for smoking, because I long for company, and that's what I'm transforming. That I can have company without smoking, right? I could spend time with smokers without smoking myself, and then they may realize at some point for themselves, why am I actually smoking? You know, I could actually stop. So I'm also in a position where I have restricted ingredients because I have a restricted amount of resources to buy new ingredients, which means that I have to make choices. And that's one choice. I took away 2 of the onions, so I have them for another day. I hope it's not moldy in between. You see, so that has to be cut out. So if you buy food, you use it. Okay, so in terms of diet, it's also about I eat sometimes the things that push me out of the house, literally. Cannot choose container. Okay, now this is for more like a lettuce. So you chop however fine you can manage, probably would be best actually. Cabbage is good because it fills you up. But you can make this kind of a lettuce and then eat it with bread, make like a wrap. It's like kebab. You can make it then vegetarian if you want. You can make falafel. So I just started to prepare food. I still have some kind of carrot, apple, salad. in the fridge, which I just remembered. I could have eaten that with the chips, right? I mean, I find tortilla chips are a good meal to a certain degree. And then you have a dip with it. Right? You can just buy a package of salty tortilla chips, which is the most. And then you take a dip. Just take some cabbage and then you just eat it. I'm really not that fussy anymore. But I did start to prepare food. So now I'm gonna put salt on top of this. And you just let it sit. And then just gonna shake it. And now the salt is gonna draw out some of the water. And now I'm gonna take care of this soup. So never bite off more than you can swallow. There's really people where you should be really careful. Like, you first have to help yourself. And then you see if there's people you could actually work with. But this has to be, it's probably going to be more like a friendship. You have to really ask yourself, when you heal yourself, who can you work with? Like, who's actually ready to leave things behind? Because some people will just talk about it, but they'll never do it. So you gotta look for whoever's true. So that the cabbage got moldy was my own fault. The way I stored it. It was touching the top of the fridge and then, I don't know, mold creeped in. Otherwise it stays good. So the nice thing about cabbage is it just stays good for a really long time. And now it seems like this will not fit. But when it heats up, it loses its form. And then the water comes out and stuff. And then you can stir it. Or you just eat. So black pepper and turmeric go well together. Or so they say. Okay. And just give it some time. Yeah, I'm glad I cleaned this before I left. It was a really good choice, I'm just saying. So always make sure. Just imagine you would already have kids or something. You gotta know how to maintain a clean space. And it's really hard. So if you smoke in here, it's gonna get really dirty. Which is why I simply work hard for my highs. You know, this is... Yeah, if I had a larger pot. But I can manage, right? I'm also reducing on salt, by the way. I don't want to have no salt, but I'm reducing it. The fries I made the other day I had without salt, but with mayo. Because salt and sugar, I think, are just they're basically similar. If it's too much, they are harmful. I mean, we're not bickering about a bit of sugar once in a while. we're talking about eating it all the time. We're talking about eating too much salt every day. I'm going to put in the water now. I'm going to put on turmeric. Fresh is probably better. I love this, by the way, that the water filter is just there. Yeah, sometimes I'm a bit like an idiot sometimes, right? Okay, now I just cover it with a lid. See to it that it doesn't boil over or something. And then you let it boil for maybe 50 minutes, an hour, stir it occasionally. That's really up to you. You can also add potatoes if you want. You could add even lentils if you wanted to. That's really your choice. And that's what I'm advocating here, right? Freedom of choice. You do what you do. This is just an inspiration. Cooking is actually super easy, super nice. You could listen to an audiobook, or you could just practice your meditation, right? This is about focusing on yourself, having a clean space, and just do it in a way that feels good for you. This is what this is about. This is about relaxing, making cooking a habit. I'm constantly trying to wiggle out of the new habits thing because I'm remembering how nice it was to have this intro for Dream Kitchen. And so I'm looking back, but I can just keep it as the classics or something. So sometimes letting go is really hard, but it was just not maintainable any longer. Like, going for these 2-hour hikes and then talking all the time, I just couldn't do it anymore. It was just too much. So I had to find a way to also stretch out the times, right? To do video, and then something else. So in terms of habits, the habits I used to have no longer worked for me. And then I had new habits that worked for some time. Then I moved on from them as well. I think that's the story of life. You want to keep changing. You try to be never stuck. Because if you're stuck, you're dead. You have to keep moving. And that's the message, right? You have to keep foraging. We don't have to so much forage for food. Your food is energy. You keep foraging for experiences. That's what you look for. But if you have too many of certain experiences, that's also death. So you have to always move on. You have to always move on. And I seem to see these things. That suddenly, okay, this place is dead now. We have to move on from here. We have to do other things in between to stay alive. That's the message. Okay, I think I can just keep this cooking. I don't know if this is like good for you or good for me. If I turn this off or keep this on. Do I make really relaxing cooking videos now? Or what do I do, right? Is this a good cooking video to cook this till the end? Or do I just say, you know, you just gotta cook for yourself, man? It's not about watching me cook, it's about finding the you that cooks by cooking. Not by watching videos about cooking, but by actually cooking. So you saw how simple this is, right? I mean, it's like cycling, it's like walking. You gotta keep learning. You gotta keep changing. You have to go back to how you were when you were a child. That's why I can go wild. That's why I can keep doing these things, but there are limits. So last year I don't know if I broke my ankle or something. I really injured my left ankle and I'm still feeling it. That's probably either I'm gonna carry this wound for the rest of my life, or I'm gonna realize at some point, because it's also a reminder, if I do too much, then I have to slow down. And I can be glad that it was only this. I mean, Trungpa Rinpoche crashed into a wall, and that was his injury. So sometimes we just keep certain injuries, but I also keep working with mine. So my ideas about healing, and if it's too much, then I stop. So bring this to a boil, you know, stir it, cover it with a lid, and then just see to it that you get it done. Taste it. If you think it needs more spice, add more spicy stuff. If you think it needs more something, maybe nutmeg, whatever, you know, you're the chef. You can go nuts. But if you really know nothing about cooking, just start. Just pick random recipes, stuff that you usually bought somewhere, you know, make your own burgers. Make your own cake. Right? Whatever. I mean, that's what I mean. You don't just stop eating sugar. Unless you do, right? For me, it was a transition. It took me years to let go of sugar. So if you still really like sugar, do what you want. But in the end, you know, it's about letting it go before you get really sick. So this is one good meal. And nobody says that letting go of sugar is easy, because you used it to get high and now you're trying to just be high without using anything, and that's really hard, right? I'm still in this coffee treadmill. It's hard to say if I will ever get out of it, if it just works for me, if I will simply transition more and more to tea, or if I keep drinking my coffee. I don't know, right? I just have to figure this out. And that's all I can say. That's all I can be also, because it's true, it's honest. It's who I found. It's simply been the story of my life. I cooked a lot. I cooked a lot until I knew what I need when. And then I still had to find the energy to do it. So I will cook in favor of smoking, and I will cook in favor of baking or eating meat. But I still have the freedom to do whatever the F I want. So I can be who I need to be in order to live or lead the life that I would like to live. And people that sell you smoking as part of a good life are often phony, because you don't know how they look like when they're alone at home. I tried it. I realized it cannot be maintained. There are certain things that cannot be maintained. So yeah, take it or leave it. I've tried it. It's better to go without eating sugar all the time. But if you eat it, it's really hard to stop again. And it's the same for smoking. If you start, it's really hard to stop. So it's probably the best advice, never pick up a habit. Right? The first time you do something, it's probably paving the road to a new habit. Never pick up a habit that you know is unhealthy. Like, you don't have to try it. I mean, I tried it and I worked hard to get rid of it. And that's all. So, now this gotta cook. This needs to be cooking. So slow food is also the idea. So everything I say here goes into the food. This is how I work with energy. Sometimes I say things or I have things in my mind and then I transform them. And when I eat this, then I am renewed. It's really strange, but that's how it works. If you want to know how to cook, then you gotta cook. If you want to know how to smoke, then you gotta smoke, right? But then also remember how to stop. You know, I'll never have to stop with cooking, because that's actually food that actually keeps people alive, right? Smoking is basically hopelessness. Nobody who's got hope smokes, and that's a fact. Gotta be inventive. This can keep you clean. This is cleansing. Food is detox. Okay? You know why I'm doing this? You understand why I do these things in favor of doing other things? Right, I could be working a normal job, watching a movie now, but I'm doing this because I think it makes sense. Okay? I think we all know how to make soup, and if you don't, then you got a lot of soup to make before you know how to make soup. Right? And if you get sick of soup, that's what I had, then you have to just keep practicing, just find other foods. Learn how to make falafel, learn how to fry things, but then don't get stuck on frying. Learn how to bake things, learn how to, you know, soak chickpeas overnight and then bake them in the oven and then season them with oil and a bit of salt and smoked paprika. Right? Find out what works for you. You know, I did my traveling, I watched other people cook. Stay where you are, or travel, or try to recreate what you ate when you did travel, and then stay where you are and bring it to the people. So now I'm going to close this. I'm going to turn this off before it gets too dishonest. You know what to do.